Bespoke jitter charts, a jitter plot, and this is what it looks like. As you can see, we have multiple data points, and instead of having an X and Y axis, this is just points randomly splattered onto a screen. Now it does look random, however, when utilized, it can create some very interesting effects, very interesting insights. So let's get started by exploring this interesting technique. The first thing we are going to do is load in our Superstore dataset. So let's go to Microsoft Excel, Superstore, and I know, as always, we are going to drag orders onto the query panel, and let's go to sheet 1. The first thing I want to do is to create our two calculated fields. The first one is going to be called X, and here we are going to type random, open and close parentheses. Now here's the key. Random function is undocumented. There are ways that you can actually generate a random number without this function, and I'll link some notes in the lesson below. But to expedite things, we are going to use random for now. Let's click OK. Let's duplicate this. Now I want to edit and rename this to Y, as well as multiply by 1. There's a very interesting quirk with the random function, is that if you have two calculated fields with just random, it would return the same value. However, in a calculated field, if you multiply the random by something, it gives you a different value. It's very interesting, but again, it's an undocumented function, so you would expect these quirks. In any case, with our X and Y created, let's bring them onto columns. Convert this to a dimension. Let's bring Y onto rows. Let's convert this into dimension as well. This is where we can have a little bit of fun. So let's take product name and drop this onto details. As you can see, all of our products are now scattered across the page. The random function gives you a value from 0 to 1. So we have our X and a Y, two different random functions, and this is what we have. Now, to add a bit more oomph to our data visualization, let's take category and let's drop that onto color. Let's change the mark type to circle. Let's take a metric, so sum of cells, into size. Let's increase the size a bit. Let's add some transparency. The key thing here is, even though this is a bespoke data visualization, and even though this is not best practice, you can still see some interesting points. For example, this very big red jumps out at you. The same as this overly sized blue dot or orange. Typically this is used for fun, but you can find some interesting insights. Lastly, we are going to remove or hide our headers. We don't need to see them anymore. We are going to do some live formatting. So we're going to hide our zero lines and our trend lines. Well, not trend lines, sorry. Grid lines and zero lines. Let's rename our sheet to Jitter Plot. And here we have it. This is a simple example of how you can use the jitter function within Tableau to create this effect. The key thing here is that by using a random function, you can do a lot of very interesting things. And the next 4 tutorials will go through this. So I hope you had fun here and see you in the next tutorial.